in historic Jefferson today with my friend Susie, and we are going to explore the town and find some good foods to eat. Now, this is not the first time we've been here. Jefferson never gets old to visit. There's always fun things to do here, and it's an antique town and a historic port, and we're just going to have a great time today. We're heading to Kitt's Kornbread and Sandwich Shop because they have the best pies around. Yes. Now this is Kitt's. Kitt's Kornbread.
They got her Irished out.
They do. I love that bread sandwich. Look how good that is with chips. It looks really good. And this is Susie's. Yay! Now we're having coconut cream pie and chocolate pecan pie. There's both kinds of pies. Oh, it is delicious. Thank you.
Awesome. Anything else?
Oh, look, those are delicious.
There's the thing.
Ah, the peanut place. I think last time I was here I bought 2 jars. Yes. Hey, how are you? We're good. Oh, they got peanut butter cup.
Mm-hmm. So do you ever...
Hi, how are you?
We're having fun.
Me too. It's so pretty. The moody dog always gets me. With or without. Oh, do they have them out? Ooh, praline testing, sampling. So good.
Ooh. They have a cup of coffee for 5 cents? Yes, please. Oh, I love that. I can come back by, no worries.
Get whatever you want here.
Oh, this is so unnecessary, dude. How cute is that?
Okay, interesting. They still have not reprinted the book that I love.
For some reason, I
This is the fudge shop. Thank you.
Cindy, you get us some praline? They don't appreciate it. Oh, you're very welcome. Very good. Did you get food with me? Come on. Do you have a place to weigh you? Weigh your bag? That bag is only in here, correct? That's only for a day.
This is one of my favorite parts of the fudge shop is just this antique store over here. Not for sure what to do with your ceiling? Just spoil it. Oh, it looks like a tea shop. Is this a tea shop? Look, it looks like a tea shop. How cute is this? That's why it's called the fudge shop.
It's really pretty.
Oh, we're in Jefferson. We're about to go on the trolley ride, historic tours of Jefferson. We are at the Kennedy Manor bed and breakfast.
There we go.
I'm sure
Look how pretty.
Anyway, 2 o'clock, you guys are welcome. I'm Tommy. I will go through all your frequently asked questions here. You guys saw the for sale sign out front if y'all are looking for a new house. There's a whole bunch of it. All y'all can fit. No, it said we were going to run this B&B for 10 years and then retire, so that's why that for sale sign's out there. Because we bought the house 10 years ago, and we spent an entire year restoring this home before we had to open it up for guests. We found the house because we stayed here all the time. 27 years ago, first time we walked in these doors, and my bride announced to me at that time that we were going to own the house.
Okay.
Whatever. But we were in time for her birthday. We saw the for sale sign out front. No one lived in this home for about 2 years, and the house had really fallen into disrepair. And I pointed it out to her just as a kind of a goof. Look at your ugly old house, honey. It's for sale. So let's go check it out just for fun. And through a little divine intervention, we ended up in Jefferson. We came from Waxahachie, Texas, if y'all know where that's at. Yeah, go Indians. Woo! So, our home was originally built in 1860, guys. It was a one-story house in 1860. I was off the wall panels. Picture right here on the wall. In 1907, this young couple right here, they're only 20 years old. George and Fanny Dockery. These guys bought the house in 1907. They spent $405 in 1907 to add this upstairs onto our home.
Wow.
They didn't pay for it all at once either, y'all. Don't be alarmed. They did finance $31.35. So they brought modern plumbing into this home. They put 2 bathrooms in here, one up and one down. And then they added 16 bedrooms to the home, and they ran it as a boarding house. They struck oil out here, so they're getting rid of the big oil boom. Now, George and Fanny run this as a boarding house for 20 years, and they both passed away in the 1920s, and their daughter, Nanny Pearl, and her husband, Sterling Miner, turned the house into apartments. Pearl and Sterl in 1928 put 6 apartments in the home, but they never thought to add any more bathrooms to it.
Oh no.
And that's how it remained until 1988, you guys. For 60 years, this was 6 apartments. They shared 2 bathrooms. You're just a little bit spoiled, right? In 1988, a couple of guys bought the house. They turned it into the footprint we're looking at today. They called the home Roseville Manor. They collected Roseville pottery. They had over $2 million of that pottery. But these guys hired craftsmen and artists to do all that work in the house. Spent well over $1 million restoring this home. Some of the art projects we're going to see today, like the ceilings in here, these are from 1907. But a lot of bad spots had to be replaced, and you cannot find that at Home Depot, so they got artists to recreate some of those ceiling panels. So. It's pressed tin. Yeah. And I'll show y'all another art project. As y'all step into our music parlor over here. Check this out. Our piano is an 1880 square grand piano. Now,
So
keep
pretty.
it tuned. Does anybody play? Want to give it a little tinkle? Everybody's scared? Everybody's all over there in the hallway. We outgrew our little tour bus. I needed a bigger bus. I found this in Michigan. Drove it back from Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Oh, I bet that was fun.
Yeah, 18 hours. 55 miles an hour with no air conditioning. This thing in July, so It didn't have any windows. We had to restore the bus, so put AC, new windows, new engine. But on the side of the bus, the great big letters still said beer trolley on it. So people was honking and waving at me as I was driving down the highway. All right, we're going to get started, you guys. Again, this is an hour-long Goddess of Youth, Hebe, which I'm sure all of y'all have heard of the Heebie-Jeebies, right? Yeah, the Stearns are a very wealthy Jewish family here in town, very philanthropical family. And their children in 1913 dedicated the fountain to their parents as an anniversary gift. This is the photograph right here from 1913.
Oh, look.
Yeah.
Has any of you kids gotten your parents a fountain like that for their anniversary?
No.
Y'all need to step it up. Y'all, the Stearns want to make sure everybody got water, so that's why there are 3 levels of fountains. Those big troughs on the sides you're looking at were meant for the horses. In the middle were drinking fountains for people, but if you look at the very bottom, you'll notice there are some bowls down there.
It's for dogs.
Those bowls are meant for the dogs and cats and drunks. Our Carnegie Library on our right-hand side was built in 1907, but by 1991 it was in such poor condition it was going to be condemned, and it was sold off for $1.
Oh,
Well, the family that bought it had it fully restored and donated it back to the city. So over 2,800 Carnegie Libraries around the world, 32 are here in the great state of Texas. Whoop, whoop. You got to learn how to do that from Virginia. There's a big magnolia tree here on y'all's left-hand side behind the fence. This tree was planted by Lady Bird Johnson and came as a seedling from the White House Gardens. So I do got it. When I got a lot of kids, I got to give them a pop quiz. Who was Lady Bird Johnson?
One of the president's wives.
President's wife, LBJ's wife. Do y'all know what she was famous for?
Flowers.
You know what? Why we have all the wildflowers up and down our highways. She was responsible for the beautification of America's urban areas and highways. So that's why you see the wildflowers all up and down our highways, because of Lady Bird Johnson. That's going to be on the test, kids. Now, before we had the internet and Amazon, some of y'all remember those days, we would order things out of the Sears or Montgomery Ward's catalog, and back in the day, you could even order houses from the Sears or Montgomery Ward's catalog. Like this house on your right was ordered out of the Sears catalog in 1904.
What?
Kids, it was like IKEA. It was a kit. You had to put it together yourself or hire that out. And it was numbered, too. So, guys, see y'all's left is the oldest hotel in Texas. Don't let those Manger people in San Antonio tell you otherwise. This is 1 year older than the Manger, 1858, and it has been in continuous operation. A lot of famous people that have stayed at the Excelsior: John Jacob Astor, H.K. Vanderbilt, Ulysses S. Grant, Rutherford B. Hayes, W.O. Chrysler, LBJ, me. Yeah, a lot of famous people, yeah. Steven Spielberg and his film crew stayed there for half a night one night. Just a half.
Half a
Yeah.
night.
They were location scouting for the movie Sugarland Express, and they were the only ones in that hotel. They were pretty creeped out being there by themselves. Spielberg swears in the middle of the night, and his briefcase opened up and all the stuff started flying out of it. The urban legend is that a child appeared at the foot of his bed and asked if he was ready for breakfast. So that's the urban legend. But he gathered up his film crew, and they hightailed it to Marshall in the middle of the night after that. He did mention that's how he was inspired to make the movie Poltergeist.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Oh, really?
But Jay Gould stayed here at the Excelsior Hotel. Jay Gould was one of the richest men in America. He owned 1/6 of all the railroads in the United States, and he wanted to bring his Texas and Pacific through town. This was a river port run by rivermen. Didn't need no railroads cutting in their profits, so they declined his offer. He was so upset, he wrote in the hotel register when he checked out, "The death to Jefferson." He was heard to curse the town, said that the bats are roosting the belfries and the grass are growing the streets of town. Now, if y'all walk around town at all, you notice that curse has come true fruition, right? Got Garden Club ladies here in town did find Jay Gould's personal rail car. It was abandoned in the rail yard in Overton, Texas, overgrown with weeds, and they thought for $1,200 it would be a pretty funny idea to bring it back to town. They restored it and opened it up for tours to get the last laugh on old Jay Gould there. Anybody tour? All you guys been to the general store?
Yep.
Yes.
Definitely mandatory. And today is Thursday, so all the restaurants in town are open. So 1852 or Austin Street Bistro. Now, I do have a little cupcake eating tip for you guys at the Cupcake Buster on the right. If there is a train coming through this intersection blasting its horn, the first person to get to the window to shout "Train Cupcake" will get a free cupcake. Yeah.
Train cupcake.
Train Cupcake is the secret word. The driving metropolis was a big log jam on the Red River. It was called the Great Raft. This log jam would grow in excess of 200 miles long, keeping all that water pushed up here. It was on the Red River. They said it was so thick you could walk from Texas to Louisiana without getting your feet wet. See the guy walking across it right there in my picture. Now, in 1832, the Army Corps of Engineers wanted to navigate that Red River up to Arkansas and over to that Indian Territory of Oklahoma. So they hired Captain Henry Miller Shreve for that project. Shreveport. It's actually called Shrevetown originally, kids. That's going to be on the test after the tour, so keep that in mind. The captain, trained by his own design, created snack boats like the Cyclops here. And he cut a channel through that log jam using cranes and dredges. And he made the Red River navigable all the way till 1850. That's when he passed away. After that, no one else really took care of it that well. And by the end of the Civil War, of course, the North didn't help the South keep it cleared out, so it filled up with logs, about 7 miles thick. Now, a couple of fellows did take over the project after the war was over, but they were not very effective at it until nitroglycerin was introduced to these folks. Yeah, a lot of people here in town do feel that Jay Gould, in order to exact his revenge on the town, supplied the nitroglycerin. In 1873, guys, they blew that entire log jam completely out of the water, and that dropped the water in town by 8 feet. Plus about 10 blocks of riverfront burned down that year, so people started moving away from Jefferson in 1873. That did not kill the port. The government stepped up. They cut ditches through the shallows. They're called government ditches out there on Caddo Lake. Some of your boat tour operators will take you through those ditches. But the last ship to leave this port with cargo was 1903. And guys, we're parked on top of docks right now. These docks span thousands of yards both directions. One boat still had 3 miles worth of docks here in town. There are docks side by side. You know, we literally have a pair of docks right here in Jefferson. These are going to get worse, you guys. But right there on your left was the turning basin. This is as far north into Texas you can get from the Gulf, guys. It took 7 days to get to Jefferson from New Orleans on a good week, so that's why everybody brought their freight up here to be shipped out. But the other side of the bank, you can see how wide it was. The largest ship, the Bella Shreveport, 200 feet long, 44 feet wide, still wide enough to turn around down there.
Wow. I saw it. It's so crazy.
You know, the big Schluter house on top of the hill in front of us was built in 1850, occupied by the Schluter family for over a century. Now, that third floor balcony overlooked the riverfront. That is called a widow's walk, where ladies could watch for their husband's ships to come in. But sometimes they didn't make it back. Sometimes on purpose. There's a big room behind that widow's walk. Now, during the big yellow fever outbreak of 1869, they took all the sick children in town and put them in that third floor room. They sealed it off, keep them contained. And then they thought a little fresh air would do those children some good, so they opened up the doors, which, of course, the mosquitoes came in and spread the yellow fever even further. So, but they did lose 4 children at the Schluter house. And from time to time, someone will take a photograph of that home. A little girl will appear standing on their stairs in their photograph. Some people see that little girl in the intersection behind us, and they'll slam on the brakes when she pops up right there. You guys remember, though, we do have 5 bars at Jefferson. We also have 140 state and national historical markers here in town, guys. It's like Pokemon. You gotta catch them all. Not everybody chooses to get those monuments. So like this fellow on our right has a historical home from 1847 built by Daniel Alley. No historical plaque. It costs over $2,000 to get one of those metal plaques on your house, and there's months and years of red tape paperwork involved in all this. So instead of spending all that time and money, old Daryl got on the internet and ordered a sign for his house for $50 that says the same thing.
Yeah.
1847 by Daniel Alley. Alley was a really cool character here in town. He was, besides co-founding the town, he was the biggest landlord and home builder here in town. Now, during Reconstruction, a lot of those occupying forces started occupying his homes.
Well, he wasn't real happy about it, and he gave him two options. So he said, you can move out peacefully or I will burn you out of my house. Well, who would really believe they burned their own house down, right? So they didn't leave. Well, you don't dare text them not to do something either after they threaten you. He burned down 40 of his own homes that week.
Wow.
And here on the right-hand side was Barry Benefield. Barry Benefield was a little bit of a recluse. He wrote for the Dallas Morning News and the New York Times, and he was a really big novelist. Two of his novels were pretty popular in the 1930s, so much that they made movies out of them, which I'm sure everybody on the bus has seen the movie, The Chicken Wagon Family.
No.
Well, I'm shocked. This one right here was a little bit more popular. It's called Valiant. It's a word for Carrie. Guys, this is such a popular film. The Three Stooges made their own version of it called Violent is a word for Curly. Here on the right is baby brother J.H. Benefield. He built that little Queen Anne in 1895 for $2,000. Cute little B&B nowadays.
Thick black hair.
After the Civil War was over, there was still a lot of civil unrest here in Jefferson. All those freed slaves were being murdered, robbed, beaten, and driven off their lands on a daily basis. There were allotted lands. I'm sure you guys have all heard of 40 acres and a mule. Well, those 40 acres came from the southern landowners that did not swear their allegiance to the Union. They had to sign an affidavit swearing their allegiance. If they didn't sign that affidavit, their land was seized, divvied up into 40-acre lots, and given to the freed slaves along with a government mule. So now you know. But anyway, the federal government did send 2,000 soldiers here to help restore order, and this is part of their campgrounds. This is Camp Street, which 3 years ago they bulldozed this whole lot on the right. When they started metal detecting, they were digging up all kinds of military hardware out of there. They found 5 gold coins in that lot. And when they cleared all that brush out, they found Walter White's RV. It's right there on the right. Texas. There's no town here, so Urquhart realized he could make a ton of money if he built a town around this ferry. Worked out pretty well for him, too, because by 1891, this photograph was taken down here.
Oh, wow.
One thing you might notice how wide the bayou was before they blew up the log jam and what it went down to. And now it's just a little trickle because Lake of the Pines has been impounded, so that keeps all the water down here. But if you look over the fence, you can still see remnants of the old port right up in there. And originally, all that dredge work was done by riverboat captain William Perry. You probably see his name all around town. Old Captain Perry pretty much put Jefferson on the map. He had a dredge and he made navigation possible from here to Shreveport. He got the very first steamship to town in 1843, and he also built the Excelsior Hotel. Unfortunately for Captain Perry, you guys, he was gunned down in the street in 1868 in an alleged case of mistaken identity. Allegedly. Yeah. He owned this property they were sitting on, but he deeded it to the slaves in 1842 so they could build a church. Civil War reenactment. But there's a group of ladies called the Pleasant Hill Quilters that do a quilt show at that church. You guys get your cameras ready. Coming up on the right-hand side is a grove. The Grove has been voted the #2 most haunted destination in America, according to USA Today.
Yes.
I did that house.
That's
Mitch
what I.
and Tammy do offer
I
tours
have
on the weekends of their
Yeah.
house. When they bought it 25 years ago, it was a vacant, derelict house. The real estate agents want nothing to do with that home, you guys. They don't lock it. Let people go in. And we also have the Gone the Wind Museum here on our right. The little white building was the ag barn for the high school. Now it's one of the largest private collections of Gone the Wind movie memorabilia in the United States.
I have never been there.
Bobby Hardy's what you would call a super fan. Built her home 28 years ago to look like Tara. And her last name's Hardy, so of course she called her house Scarlet O'Hardy's. Now, Jefferson was the muster station for those soldiers to go fight the Civil War, and they'd always muster right there on the street to your left in front of the Episcopal Church.
It's a beautiful.
In front of the Episcopal Church steps, they'd have a rousing speech and presentation of colors while the patriotic band would march them off to war. And our park to y'all's left was Town Square at one time, but Town Square ended up burning down. So they put a school in its place, but kids, that school burned down. What do y'all think about that? Yeah, asshole. This is the house they talked about on the right. Home of riverboat captain Thomas Rogers. He said he's the one that coined the phrase, "My home is my castle." Now originally, he and his wife lived on a small house on that property. As her family grew, she needed a bigger home, but this man is always at sea. He didn't have time to build a house for her, so little shortcut there, y'all. He bought that two-story house for his wife, but when he bought it, he had two really big problems. Problem number one, it was still in operation as a saloon and brothel. And problem number two is in the river bottoms across town. They had to pick that two-story house up on cypress logs, and they rolled it across town. They dragged it with teams of oxen. They moved it 5 foot a day till they finally set it down. Moved into it, the captain thought his wife was happy, so he went on back off the sea. When he came back home, he realized his wife wasn't happy, though. She didn't like where they'd set that house, and she made him pick it up and move it again. But right after that, he did wise up and nailed a small house to the back of it. Told her it was way too big to ever move again, so.
Wow.
We got another famous celebrity right across the street to y'all's left. Second house in with the metal lawn chairs in his front yard is the home of our multi-millionaire industrialist metal lawn chair king of Jefferson, Skip Torrens of Torrens Manufacturing. Skip's family moved to Jefferson in 1850. They had a hardware store and a wagon shop here in town. After World War II, there's no need for making wagons, but there was a need for sitting around, so the lawn chairs.
The ones that we like.
Probably.
And this is the Urquhart house to your right, better known as the House of 11 Gables. You guys want to start counting those gables there? That house was originally built all the way across town by the ferry crossing. But in 1890, Alan Urquhart III purchased the house and he had it drug up here to higher ground. It's a really unique house, so can y'all tell what style of home that is? Yeah. It was built in the moron style. Yeah, they got the higher ground. They had to have more on here, more on there. More.
10, 11. I found the gate. That's funny.
I want to take his tour just for the jokes.
Well, guys, old Daniel Alley and his wife, they had 7 children, and they built houses for every one of those kids here in town as wedding gifts or as dowries to be wed. There's a great big house right across the highway to y'all's left. Daniel Alley built that house and planted those magnolia trees in the front yard. And I'm going to tell y'all a bit more about old Skip Torrens there. Now, Skip is not only a millionaire industrialist, this guy is also a very world-class author. He does have one of the New York Times bestsellers out right now. It's one of Oprah Winfrey's favorite books, and his contention for a Pulitzer Prize. I have a copy one right here, you guys. It's called A History of the Metal Lawn Chair, What We Know Now. What can we know now we didn't know before about metal lawn chairs, right?
Oh, wow.
Skip's book was so popular in 2016 it ended up on The Tonight Show. No lie. Yeah, Jimmy Fallon. He had that segment on the show called Books Not to Read. That was one of them. Now Skip got so upset about that, he got on his golf cart and filmed himself driving around town, which of course has metal lawn chairs on it, right? And he made a little film, filmed himself, explained to Jimmy Fallon how deeply hurt and offended the entire town was about the mean things he said about his book. And he supplied everybody in town with metal lawn chairs. So Skip drove around town filming. Everyone in town is sitting in their metal lawn chairs waiting to Skip as he drove by. He set up the elementary school with metal lawn chairs, you guys. That whole class was sitting in metal lawn chairs, reading from the lawn chair book. Teachers are on lawn chairs on the chalkboard. But old Skip does tend to take things too far all the time, and this is what killed it. He couldn't put on there because he supplied everybody in that video with these t-shirts right here with Jimmy Fallon's stupid face on
That was, oh.
it. It does have a following on YouTube, though. Put that in your watch list, you guys. A History of the Metal Lawn Chair.
I will do
You
that.
got 4 minutes to kill. Put that in your little watch list. It's a cute little video.
Definitely gonna
Okay, watch
it.
that.
Skip Torrens.
Now, we talk talked earlier about old Captain Perry being gunned down, that alleged mistaken identity. That actually did take place right here on this very spot. During Reconstruction, there was a lot of people really upset with those federal troops that occupied the town. And one guy in particular by the name of Bud Connor caused so much trouble for these folks that they got sick of it. They hired a hitman to have him taken out. Unfortunately for Captain Perry, y'all, he stepped around that corner and he was gunned down the street. They brought his body into this house on the right where he succumbed to his injuries. During a military tribunal, they did deem him a casualty of war. No charges were ever filed.
Wow.
Which has got conspiracy all over it. Yeah, Bud Connor's old rotund 58-year-old. He had a full gray beard. Bud Connor's one of those little weird, wiry 28-year-olds. Well, of course, this was a military installed government. Cap Perry just wouldn't shut up about secession, so yeah. We talked about William Secession Todd earlier, though. They moved in that White House on your left in 1891, which is his lovely wife, Sardinia. Aren't you girls glad your parents didn't name you Sardinia?
Oh my God.
That was her real name, but she gave birth to the very first baby born in Jefferson in that house.
Oh.
Yeah, baby Marlin. That's a little fishy to you guys.
Oh my
It's
goodness.
actually Mary. I'm sorry. Wait, Marlin up for the halibut. Store's really clean right now.
Oh dear.
Well, there on the right is the Culberson House, and if you know your Texas geography, Culberson County is in the Davis Mountains on the other side of the state. The very first Culbersons in Texas lived in that house. That was David Culberson, namesake for the county, one of our senators. That little White House on the right is a wedding gift for her son, Charles Culberson, our 21st governor of Texas. And Senator Culberson was truly outnumbered because this guy had 7 daughters, and 5 of them got married, 5 of them got houses, like the little yellow one to your left, the little gray one right next door to it, 2 of his daughters. If you guys want to have a good time tonight, the Nightlight Tavern coming up on y'all's left
That's where we had dinner.
is
Oh,
Music
okay.
Bingo tonight. Music Bingo, that'll be a lot of fun tonight. It is free to go into. Mr. Ingram's wife passed away 2 years ago and left behind 1,700 sets of salt and pepper shakers.
Oh my goodness.
That's worth the price of admission right there. A couple of quick stories and I'll have y'all back on. I'm sorry, I'm getting a little long-winded here. This big white building on our right was originally the stagecoach station, and then it was a hospital during the Civil War. Then it was a Jewish synagogue, and there was a Catholic convent school, and that's our playhouse, which they do rent out as a synagogue sometimes, or you may consider it a rent-a-gog. I'm sorry, that's the last joke. But for the last 71 years, they've been doing a reenactment of the very famous Diamond Bessie murder trial in there. Yeah, this first weekend in May, you're a pilgrimage. This was the trial of the century, guys. Everybody around the world knew where Jefferson, Texas was because of this famous murder and trial. Abe Rothschild here, the son of the very wealthy, whoops, crap, what did I do? Son of the very wealthy Rothschild family murdered his bride here in town, Bessie Moore. Now, these 2 crazy kids are rarely seen together sober as they travel around the country selling jewelry for the family. And she was always adorned in so many diamonds, she was a walking display case. Now, they did show up here at Jefferson, and they checked into the Brooks house under an alias, called themselves A. Monroe and wife. And they were seen around town for the next few days, just drinking and carrying on. And behind her back, the town folk called her Diamond Bessie while she wasn't listening. My wife said, I bet the women called her that. But they were spotted crossing the bayou on that January day, going on a picnic lunch in January. Right. Well, later that afternoon, old Abe got back to the Brooks house all by himself. Mr. Brooks asked him the whereabouts of his bride. He said she stayed behind to visit some friends. She'd be back soon. Well, the next day, old Abe is at the rail station again. This guy is all by himself, and he's dragging along her luggage. And someone happened to notice on his fingers some of the jewelry she had on the day before. He ended up going home to Cincinnati. It was about 10 days later. There was a woman out there in the woods gathering firewood, stumbled across Bessie's body with a bullet wound right through her temple and scattered about. They found a bunch of picnic supplies, which of course is all circumstantial evidence. Now, it didn't take long to trace that culprit back to Abe Rothschild. Once he learned he was going to be indicted and extradited, he's going to save everybody the trouble and take his own life. He got his pistol out, put it up to his head, and he pulled the trigger. But he did make one little rookie mistake. He had flinched, and he accidentally shot his right eye out by mistake.
Oh.
He was hospitalized for 20 days till he's well enough to be transported back to town, where he was eventually tried, convicted, and sentenced to hang. But that wealthy family that he hailed from, of course, hired the best attorneys money could buy to appeal that decision. And on that appeal, it was rumored that each one of those jurors found a crisp $100 bill in their vest pocket. Well, sure enough, guys, after that, the blow did not fit. Stick quit.
Yeah.
Yeah, the winery there on Polk Street in her honor actually makes a sweet red wine with her picture on the label called To Die For and a dry red with his own called To Kill For. And finally, guys, our Catholic church on our right was built in 1866, one block down the street to the left. Local legend says that Father Gerard wasn't happy with his neighbors. Said there was a saloon on one side and a brothel on the other, so he had the church picked up and drug over here. If that's true, he missed a great opportunity, didn't he? Could have been ashamed when them fellas going to them saloons. Every old be when Jesus comes back. Well, that church did burn down in 1995, and the diocese is going to replace it with a brand new modern church, but the parishioners want their old church back. They were able to find those building plans on the internet, downloaded it right off the web, rebuilt it as it originally was in 1866. We all have some story and sticking to it. Hope you enjoyed that tour.
Our tour of Jefferson, Texas, and we had a great time, and we're going to come back and do it again. So right now, Becky out, and
Susie out.
bye.